So many of us spend lives trying to fix ourselves, improve ourselves, or silence part of us we do not like. But what if healing is not about fixing at all? What if it is about listening? Today, we are exploring what it really means to build a peaceful relationship with ourselves, one part at a time. Welcome to Inner Peace Better Health, the space where we explore the mind body connection and what true support, lasting inner calm can and well being. Today, I am joined by Jay Stamatelos, a professional coach, a certified level 3 internal family system practitioner who works deeply with men navigating anxious insecurity and the feeling of never being enough. In this conversation, we are talking about the parts work, IFS, and how changing our relationship with ourselves can transform how we live, relate, and show up in the world. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So, before we go any deeper into the framework itself, I want to ask what drew you personally to path work and IFS as a way of understanding yourself and others?
Great question. So the very short version is I wanted a way to understand the men I was working with at an emotional level. So my journey actually began working in counterterrorism and emergency response. And I spent time working deploying with SWAT teams here in the Pittsburgh area, and I quickly realized that the only reason we were on these calls is because these men did not know how to deal with their emotions. I also knew that this wasn't really an issue that had a lot to do with mental health per se. It was more of an issue of how to handle emotions and how to understand themselves. And so I became very interested in coaching. But then after a few years, I started to realize that I wanted to maybe like traditional coaching is very mentally heavy. It's very much about it's born out of CBT, it's born out of what are my beliefs, what are my rational, what can I do rationally? And that helps a lot. But there always was this 20% I could never reach. And so for years, I tried mindfulness and meditation interventions. For years after that, I tried self compassion interventions. But it wasn't until I came across parts work that I found a way to really help men kind of break themselves into different aspects. And as you said in the intro, listen to them, which allowed them to understand themselves a lot more. So this was my tool for understanding emotions directly at almost a pure level.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And the way you have put it with so much of clarity and depth, I am pretty sure it is going to help a lot of our listeners today. I think a lot of people hear about path work and assume it means something is broken inside them.
Mm.
From your experience, what is the biggest misconception people have about IFS and working with their paths?
I would say the biggest misconception is that it is something magical because it is not. So I will say two things. First, we use the term parts because that is the word we all already use. So I can almost guarantee you, if you have been around other people and they are talking about an issue in their life, in the past 72 hours, you have probably heard someone say, or you have said yourself, you know, I really want to do blank, but there's just a part of me that wants to do blank instead. Like maybe I really want to lose weight, but boy, there's a part of me that loves cake. Or I really want to wake up and get the day started, but man, there's a part of me that just loves being in bed. So we use the term parts just because that's what we use already. And so if we compare parts work to meditation, where mindfulness meditation allows us to be kind of passive observers to ourselves, where we can notice these different parts of ourselves and we can observe them without judgment. The only thing we are doing here is becoming an active listener. Where, okay, so you notice, you don't just notice the part of you that really loves eating cake. We can talk to it. We can form a relationship with it. Like, well, what is it about eating this cake that is so helpful that you like so much? And maybe is there then room for change where does it have to be this way? Are there other options we have? Is it really about the cake or is it about something else? And we can find ways to move ahead with less self-conflict.
Absolutely. the way you said it, that there is such some parts of us that want to do, but we stop or we just don't do it. It is so true. And a lot of people are gonna resonate with this because I can. There has been so many times I feel like, okay, I really do want to lose weight. I want to get out, but then, it just never happens.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, what tends to shift for someone when they realize these paths are not problems to eliminate, but paths trying to help in some way?
I would say the biggest change I see is a big increase in self-compassion automatically. So if we were like I would invite the listeners to do this. I would invite them to quickly think of a conflict in their life in which that they have maybe two different parts of them that want two different things. And I would invite the listeners to just take a moment and notice some conflict and notice these two different sides to it and how these both exist simultaneously. So maybe you want to be in a relationship, parts of you really wants to be in a relationship, part of it wants to get away, part of you really wants to lose weight, part of you wants to eat cake. Notice both. And then notice, how does it feel to notice both of these? You will have one of two answers. Either you will say, boy, this is kind of clarifying. Like, both of these make sense. I understand it. Or you will say something like, this is overwhelming. I hate this. This makes me angry. I'm tired of this conflict inside me. And we can just name that part of you too. Bring it. Great. So we have these two fighting, and then we have the annoyance of this fight or the exhaustion of this fight. And we can just keep naming what is here until hopefully we get to a place where you can kind of look at all of the different responses you have and say, boy, all of these a little bit make sense. I understand where all of these are coming from. And you can start to be curious instead of self-critical and say, where, if I were to pick one of these, where would I want to start exploring more to see, why does this feel this way? Why is this so intense? And so we start to become curious and compassionate towards ourselves instead of being critical and trying to beat ourselves into submission in some way.
I agree. It sounds like the relief begins when people stop fighting themselves and start getting curious. And that reframes the entire healing process from self rejection to self understanding.
Absolutely. I would say that it's this shift from, if you can adopt the belief that every part of you somehow is trying to help.
Yeah.
Like, even back to the cake example, the part of you that wants to lose weight, yeah, it's absolutely trying to help you get healthier. And the part of you that loves cake, well, it's trying to help because it wants you to have a positive experience and enjoy life. And neither of these are bad. We can all be on the same team.
Yeah. I feel so much happy now. Yeah. So you often talk about anxious insecurity and the sense of never being enough, especially in men. When you look at this through an IFS lens, what deeper patterns or part are usually underneath that feeling?
So the number one thing underneath that feeling is shame. So I specialize in working with relational trauma, which is we experience some pain in our past that makes part of us believe that we are inherently undeserving of love. And so people have different responses to this. Some people try to achieve their way out of it. Some people try to hide. They don't want others to see them. There are many other responses too. But what happens is, even if I am trying to achieve something, um, and I can work really, really hard at it. Even if I achieve my goal, I still will reach the top of a mountain while feeling empty inside because I haven't changed the thing inside me. I still feel like there's this sense of, no matter what I do, I'm never enough, that belief still is here inside me. So what we need to do is shift from trying to figure out what is the thing that will fix me, what is the right achievement that will finally make this feeling go away, because there is no achievement that will make it go away. We have to start to be curious. Why is this even here in the first place? Why am I starting with the assumption that something is wrong with me? And I liked in your intro how you put it with, "Well, what if we don't make the assumption you need to be fixed?" Like, that's really what it comes down to. Is, if you put all of this in a nutshell, I am selling people on an idea that you are not actually broken. You just feel like you are. And there's a way for us to resolve that.
I agree. And, It is absolutely beautiful how you put it. It's like so much of clarity and it helps a lot of people understand. And it is so focused. It's amazing. So how do early experiences shape these paths? Like even when someone appears successful or confident on the outside.
So I would say it really comes back to that feeling of never being enough. I use that
Mhm.
language because that's the language I hear. That people will come to me and they will say, I'm so successful, I've done all of this, but I just feel like it's never enough. I feel like something's wrong with me. And so if you feel like you are on a hamster wheel of running, 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 but you're never actually moving it, I mean, one of two things is going to happen. Either you are going to feel like what can happen first is you climb to the top of a mountain and you have a brief euphoria of success. And then you realize, oh my God, I feel the same emptiness inside me. And then you start to get desperate and you see another mountain in the distance and you say, oh, I just climbed the wrong mountain. That's the mountain that's going to fix me. I just have to go down and climb that one. And we keep doing this like we have some sort of Alzheimer's where we are addicts with Alzheimer's. We completely forget that this strategy did not work, and we're like, "No, it's the other mountain that's gonna work." So either we do that or we go into this deep depression of, "Oh my god, nothing works. There is no hope. This is just who I am. I have to find a way to live with this forever." And we completely collapse, and we often bounce between the 2. And the thing that they both share is this starting point of feeling like something is fundamentally wrong. And so what I love about parts work is we can say instead of that being a belief or we treat it like a truth, the way we can frame it is we can just say there is a part of you that experienced something in your life that made it believe that it is fundamentally flawed. And that part is so close to you that you feel like you and it are the same thing. But if we can help you start to see this as a part of you and just help you realize that's just really, really, really close. And maybe it is not 100% true. It is not the truth of the universe, but rather it is truly how it feels. It feels like it is not enough and it's just very close. That gives us a different way to think about this issue. And it changes it from how can I get rid of this feeling to how can I build a relationship with it so maybe it doesn't have to keep feeling this way. And that is when we can shift.
Very, very well said, I must agree. And the mountain example absolutely makes sense to someone listening right now because because it's like all of this is happening, but we're just not aware that this is happening. And when someone puts it so beautifully, it just makes so much of sense. There is something powerful about naming how these patterns are protective responses and not personal failures. It
Right.
brings a lot of compassion into the picture.
Yes. And that is the thing that is missing most from myself. This was my background. That's why I work with these people and the clients I work with. If it's almost like we are cars missing that fourth wheel of compassion. Like that's the thing that actually is making it hard because we often see compassion as a threat. We say, if I am kind to myself, if I'm compassionate to myself, I will fall behind. I will not achieve enough. I will not, whatever, whatever, whatever. I need to be hard on myself. I need to be critical. But then I ask people, if you watch people running a marathon, do they punch themselves over and over again while they're running the marathon? No, it's a waste of energy. What if we could help save that energy and you could work with yourself instead of against yourself? What if we could help you see yourself as an ally you want to help instead of an enemy you want to defeat? That is how I want you to think about compassion, and that can offer a new way forward.
Absolutely, I agree. So how does this inner relationship with parts actually show up in everyday life, like in relationship, work, or even how someone treats their own body?
It's a great question. So we can think about it all. Okay, let's go with your last question of how they treat their body. So if you came to me and you said, I want to improve my relationship with my body, I would start by asking you to think about your body and I want you to tell me all of the different emotional reactions you have. So maybe you would say to me, I notice a part of me that really it sees my body is in pain and I want to help it. And then there's another part of me that's angry at my body. I'm so angry at why can't it just do what I want it to do? Why does it always have to hurt? It's getting in the way of my life. And maybe there's another part of you here that's very ashamed of your body that says, this is not how I want to look. I don't want to see people, people see me this way. I'm afraid they will reject me. And we can name all of these parts. So we kind of, one way to do this work is we pick a topic like a body and we name all of the different reactions, which are really all of the different parts we can name. And then we would say, where do you want to start? What is closest to the surface? Where feels most important to start? Well, what feels most important is the shame of how my body feels. Let's start there. And then we go there. But we break it into pieces and we work with the biggest ones.
Absolutely, I agree. And the way you've put it, it becomes so clear that inner dynamics do not stay internal. It shows. Yeah. So when someone shows these signs, subtle signs, someone might not notice that they indicate parts are running the show rather than their calmer, grounded self. So what are these signs?
So I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, I would say the signs are anything is really extreme. So parts, it's worth saying parts themselves are not the problem. It's when parts are burdened or they have some sort of issue that makes them take extreme behavior. That's when things go bad. Like, is it bad to want to eat cake? No. Is it maybe not helpful or extreme to want to eat 5 cakes? Probably. That might not be ideal. So if something is very intense, very extreme, and very rigid, that's usually a sign of, hey, there's a part here probably that's trying to help you in some way. That is an overdrive. And that you can kind of think about it. And a common analogy is to think of the parts inside us as a symphony orchestra. They can make beautiful music, but you want different parts of that symphony to be playing at different times. And if you have one section that just says, screw you, I'm doing what I want and I'm doing it as loud as possible, well, that's extreme. And we want to work with that group of parts first. So that's, I think extreme behavior is the best thing to look for.
I agree. Absolutely. That quietly shape how we communicate and react and connect with others, and a lot of things, how we see ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for someone listening who is new to IFS, what is a gentle first step that they can take to start improving their relationship with themselves through paths work?
I think there are many videos, there are many books. I think a book that's made that I like, that I think maybe overpromises on how much you can do by yourself, but it has great illustrations, that's why I really like it. It's called Self Therapy by Jay Early. It's a very easy to read book, it's very simple, and but there's so many texts on IFS, there's many videos online. Really, though, it's kind of like a little bit like meditation where I can read a billion books on meditation or I can sit and be present with myself. So if someone wants to actually do something with this with themselves, I would just invite you, can you be curious to notice all of your reactions, all of the things coming up in you, and can you see how somehow they are all trying to help you? And then if there's one in particular that's really extreme, maybe that's something you want to get help with or be more curious with someone maybe who's either trained in this or can help guide you in some way.
You know, this feels like an invitation to slow down and listen rather than immediately trying to change or control what is happening inside. So, even with this awareness that people have, old patterns can resurface. When paths come back strongly during stress or conflict, how do you help people stay rather connected rather than getting discouraged?
It again starts always with that curiosity. So this is back. Maybe it's surprising to the client. So I think historically, before doing parts work, a lot of people would get angry. They would either get angry at themselves or they would feel like it is a personal failing. What's wrong with me that I'm doing this again? This is so shameful. What we would hope to switch to is instead to say, can we be curious? This came back for a reason. It did not come out of thin air and it did not come to ruin your life. It's here for a reason. If we can be curious about it, maybe we can find out what's happening so that this doesn't have to keep coming back.
I agree. Very well said. What helps someone trust that setbacks are part of a process, not proof that they are failing at healing.
Oh, I would just say it's that awful truth that we are all humans and we're all woefully imperfect. There's no way to go in a straight line.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. And you've said it the best way possible for any of us to feel that comfort. There is a steadiness here, that the idea that healing is not linear, but the relationship with ourselves can remain kind and consistent.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Yes. So, listeners, if someone listening is feeling overwhelmed by their inner world right now, tell us, what is one compassionate question they can ask themselves to begin reconnecting with a sense of inner safety.
It's a good question. I would say if you were to pretend that you were a friend listening to someone you cared about, how would you respond?
Mhm.
And really, really sitting, framing, how would I receive this person if I were to listen to myself as a friend? What would be the way I want to respond? What would be the words I would use? What would be my tone? How would I let this person know that even though they are struggling and I want to help them, that I still care? And I think that's just a good starting point for many issues.
I agree. Absolutely. It is a very good starting point, and it is going to help a lot of our listeners to sit with themselves and think about it. Building inner peace starts when we stop trying to get rid of the parts of ourselves and begin relating with them and understanding them with care.
Absolutely. It comes back to that fundamental knowing that everything somehow is trying to help, even if it shows up in the most ugly way, is somehow trying to help. It's kind of like, some of us have friends who they love giving advice, but their advice is terrible. And you have to sometimes like, you know, I'm going to let you talk. I know not to do what you're saying, but I also know what you're really telling me is that you love me and that you want to help, and that's what I'm gonna focus on. Sometimes that's a way for us to think about relating to our parts.
To find that's one silver lining.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for our listeners who want to learn more about your work or explore paths, work more deeply with you, where can they find you?
So you can come to my website, James J. Stamatelos. It's a very long, obnoxious Greek name, but I assume there will be a link in the bio or something. You can click it there. I do not have social media otherwise because I've never been able to form a good relationship. So really just checking out my website. I have some things I've written, some other podcasts I've been on, some more information in the forum if you want to contact me. Um, yeah, that's the best way.
Absolutely. I will make sure to include the website link into the show notes so that many, many people can reach out to you. And so, thank you so much for joining us on Inner Peace Better Health today. It was an amazing conversation with you. And listeners, if today's conversation resonated with you all as well, take a moment to notice what part of you felt seen today. You are not broken, you are led, human, and worthy of compassion. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself.